Okay, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. I'm Parham Zar, the Managing Director of Egg Donor and Surrogacy Institute in Beverly Hills, California. I've had the amazing honor and pleasure of being the Managing Director of EDSI for the past 20 years. And in the 20 years, I have met truly the most incredible and amazing human beings on earth. These are our surrogates. Quite often intended parents ask us, who are the surrogates? Why do they choose to become a surrogate? And one of the questions that they quite often ask, is it about the money? And so I think rather than my trying to answer these questions, I thought it would be amazing to really hear from the amazing women who are a part of this world of surrogacy and have been a part of it, and to hear their stories and some advice for you guys and from our surrogates. So first, I want to introduce Michelle, who is one of our repeat surrogates. And hi, Michelle. and we also have Heather. Hi, Heather. I'm so happy you're on. We do have some other amazing surrogates that are on the call as well. Sarita was supposed to join us, but for some reason, I don't know, maybe she's having some technical difficulties, but she might be joining very shortly. But I'm going to start, they've allotted us about an hour of time. So I want to be respectful of that time. And so we'll get to it. I'm going to start with you, Michelle. If you can please tell us a little bit about yourself and your journeys as a surrogate and really why it was that you decided to become a surrogate.
I sure will. I'm Michelle, and I just finished my first journey with EDSI. Two beautiful, healthy, wonderful twins were born January 29th of this year. So about 6 months now. I can't believe it's already been 6 months. Before that, I did have another transfer with the same couple. That was a failed transfer. So we were disappointed but determined. So we went on to another round, and we had two healthy, wonderful babies. Mom and Dad were so incredibly excited, and truly that really is why I started with surrogacy. I just looked into it one day, started doing some homework, thought it was a really wonderful, amazing thing, and just looked into whether or not I'd be the right fit for it. And I have a son, and I know the incredible joy of being a parent and of having the greatest blessing in the universe, and I just wanted to give that to someone else or another couple. And I feel very blessed to be able to do that. I'm currently in the matching phase now of hopefully journey number 2. So I'm excited to meet another person or couple that would love to add a little one and start their family. So we're very excited, and I'm just so happy to be part of the EDSI family. You, Parham, and Kelly, and everyone are so incredibly wonderful, and it's just awesome to be part of such a wonderful family.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We're blessed to have you as a part of our EDSI family as well.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask Heather now, if you can please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, your family, and really why it is that you had decided to become a surrogate.
Sure. I'm Heather, and I just had my surro baby on June 11th, and his parents just came into the States, I think 2 weeks ago. They finally got to see him. But I started because I work at an infertility clinic, and I've seen couples and even individuals struggle for the past 6 years working there. And it hit me one day. I was like, I can help a family, or I can help someone have a baby, and it was like my calling or something. Just seeing all of these families come in and just struggle for so long. And I was like, if I can just help one family, that would be amazing. And just like you, Michelle, like having your own kids and having that feeling when you first see your child, I wanted to give that to somebody else. And I cannot wait to do this again. I've already been begging all the girls, but they're like, you have to wait a couple more months. But I cannot wait to do it again. I'm so excited. Just to see the parents' expressions when they see the baby for the first time, it's the most rewarding thing ever you can ask for. So
It really is. It really is. And I'm
yes.
glad to see that we have Sarita on with us right now too. So Sarita, you're still mute, so you need to unmute yourself so we can hear you. We can see you, but we can't hear you.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Good to see you as well. So Sarita, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your family and your surrogacy journeys and why it is that you decided to become a surrogate?
Okay. Well, I'm a single mom. I've been a single mom for 15 years. I have one daughter. I was very blessed. She's absolutely amazing. And I choose to do surrogacy because if I didn't have her, then I would hope someone had the heart to give me my family. I feel very blessed with my daughter, so it makes me want to do that for somebody else.
That's amazing. And do you envision yourself being a surrogate again?
Yes, maybe in the future, right? And I'm currently going on my 3rd journey, so I've already talked to Kelly about the 4th one.
So it really, I want for all 3 of you and whoever wants to jump in and answer that first. Really, one of the things that you said is you can't wait until you have your next journey. What is the real driving reason behind that? What was it that made you think I have to do this again?
Okay.
I would say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
So some people like to jump out of planes and get their high that way. I get mine this way. I feel just like selfless and like I'm helping somebody, and you know, it's not like I'm doing anything better at the moment. Like, so it's, why not help other couples, you know, have that family that I've always wanted and I have, you know, for me.
Either Michelle or Heather.
Go ahead, Heather. You're okay. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, just because you see how excited the intended parents get just when you meet them. And so right after that experience, I'm like, I cannot wait to do this again and meet another family and make them just as excited. And then seeing the baby when they are born, I can't even explain the feeling that you get. And I'm just like, okay, when can I do it again? Even though my body like literally just gave birth, but you cannot wait to do it again, especially working with all the girls in New Parham. Everyone's so supportive. So it helps a lot.
I feel the same way. It's funny, the minute the twins' parents walked into the hospital room, they had a look on their face, and I had the exact same one. It was a lot of mixed things, joy and a little bit of sheer terror, like, oh my goodness, I'm a parent. This is a huge responsibility. It's funny, I just felt a connection, and it's true. I have met some of the most amazing people with EDSI and fellow surrogates and the staff at EDSI, and it just is something you really just want to be a part of as many times as your body will allow, because it's such an amazing thing to be part of something so life-changing, and so not just for the intended parents, but for yourself as well, you know. And we do know the joys of having children, and I feel like if someone wants to be a parent more than anything in the world, and they're good people, that we owe it to them to do everything we can to give them that joy as well.
And that is the biggest blessing of all, is to bring that joy to everybody. But tell me a little bit about the kinds of conversations. And, you know, I've been doing this for 20 years. So the conversations around surrogacy have really been very different from what they were 20 years ago to what they are now. But tell me, what inspires you, but also what shocks you about the conversations you have with people?
A lot for me is like, oh, so it's your baby, because they don't really understand surrogacy. And I always tell everybody, I'm like, if you have questions, just ask, because I would so much rather tell you the answers than you assume what's going on. And I feel like the more people that I do tell my story to, they're like, oh, maybe I could do that, right? So then it opens up doors for more people and for more families. So yeah, that's been my experience with it.
I agree. I am exactly the same way. I welcome the questions. It's an amazingly awesome thing to be a part of and talk about. And I would much rather people ask questions, even if they feel that they might be out of place, than assume things, you know, because like you said, things have changed a lot over time and people have a lot of misconceptions about it. I encountered a few myself. And you know what, at the end of the day, I knew why I was doing what I was doing, and those that were close family and friends knew why I was doing it. And so if you go in with the right frame of mind and the right heart and the right mindset, I think that it can be just a wonderful, wonderful thing for everybody involved.
I agree. So I want to ask Sarita, can you tell me what has been your favorite thing about being a surrogate?
To be honest, it's the delivery, because I know I'm done. The part I don't like is the shots, but that only lasts 10 weeks. You kind of get used to it, I guess, a little bit maybe. But the delivery, because it's just, like the women were saying, it's such an experience. And then when you see the mom and the dad's face, like it's just, you can't, it's priceless. Like you literally can't take a photo of that. It's just, it's genuine, it's loving, it's caring. And there's like all these emotions, like Michelle was saying, like, you know, sometimes you're like, oh, it's like bittersweet, you know? But yeah, again, it's just that priceless feeling when the baby goes with the parents, and it just makes you feel like so blessed that you were able to do that, because pregnancy is not always easy for everyone, and some people can't take that, their bodies can't take that, and so I can, and I'm willing to, and I guess that's why I do it. I like that. That's my favorite part.
Love it. Now, I have a question from actually one of the intended parents that's on the call. They want to know, what are you guys really looking for in the intended parents? So when you look at a possible match for you, what is it that you're looking for? Any of you, if you want to just answer that question.
My most important thing is communication between the intended parent and myself. That's my biggest thing, and that was what I even put on my application. Like, I want them to be involved as much as possible, because this is not only my journey, but it's also theirs, and I don't want it to feel like it's my baby only, if that makes sense. I want them to be there every step of the way, every appointment. Like, obviously they can't be there every appointment, but just so that I know I can text them right afterwards and let them know what happened. Or they can just reach out and, you know, ask me how I'm feeling, and I can tell them like, oh, your baby must have so much hair because I have the worst heartburn, you know. That's my biggest thing with matching with intended parents, is that they're willing to have as much communication as possible with me.
I agree. I hate to be a copycat, but
No,
my biggest thing, it's a wonderful point. My biggest thing was communication as well, to be honest. I had intended parents that were out of the country, and I tried really hard to think about it from their point of view and involve them, although they were technically distance-wise so far away. But you have made a wonderful point. It's certainly their journey too, you know, and not being able to carry themselves adds another element of separation, and you feel a little detached. I don't want them to feel attached or detached. So yeah, definitely communication and involvement for me. I welcome it. There's no such thing as too many questions. There's no such thing as too many calls or text messages or hanging out if we're able to. It's our journey together. It's such a team effort, from EDSI staff to surrogates to intended parents. The more communication, the more involvement, the better. I think that might be a misconception some people might have, possibly as intended parents. I've heard from some people that, you know, they think they don't want to overstep their bounds you're carrying their baby. There are no bounds. There are no bounds. You know, this is a team. You made a wonderful point. It really is. It's a team situation. It's everybody's journey. Ask questions. There's no such thing as too many or too much involvement, definitely.
So one of the other questions that I have here is, on average, how many IPs have you met with or talked to before finding the perfect match? And I want to preface that by saying that a lot of that has to do not just with the meetings that our amazing surrogates have with the intended parents, but it's the work that goes behind choosing that EDSI does. So once we have identified, really, we kind of know who are the right matches for each other based on a lot of information that we get from the surrogate and the intended parents. And so hopefully, if we are doing our job correctly, and we do almost 100% of the time, all the matches are perfect and they are the ones that are meant to be. But in any case, I'll let you guys answer that. How many conversations has it taken to find that perfect couple for you or individual?
I was pretty quick. You guys do a fantastic job, and you definitely know what you're doing. The first woman I spoke with actually just wanted to time having her baby with a certain type of New Year, like it was a Chinese New Year situation. So it was a timing issue, not a personality issue at all. I felt that she was wonderful and would have loved to have helped her. It just didn't work out time-wise. And then I matched with the twins' parents, and they're two wonderful, awesome babies in the world. So very quickly, and yes, you guys take your time, and bless you for that, because it takes a lot of the stress off of us, because we know that you really thought about this and taken the time to connect people that are really great matches.
Anything, Serena or Heather, that you want to share?
Well, I agree with Michelle. Again, you guys do your job. You go through all the profiles and everything, and I haven't had any issues being matched in the past or currently. It's pretty quick. So I've not had any issues.
Me either. Mine was super quick, and I feel like you just reading anyone's intended parent story, you like have a connection right away with them, and you just want to help them, especially when it's like coming from the heart. And so, but you guys do all the legwork beforehand, so I'm sure that you know, get that perfectly aligned. So mine was one couple, and that was it.
So if each of you were to give an advice to an intended parent, what would it be?
Just ask any questions that they feel uncomfortable about or want to know more about. Again, like the girls were saying earlier, communication is key. So just, you know, we are doing our part, and it's our bodies and stuff, but we want the parents to feel like they understand it's their child and they're going through the journey. And so any little question, there's no stupid question, there's no question you can't ask. You know, even if it's just like, hey, how are you today? You know, like, oh, you have a doctor's appointment, and like you know, we send, well, I don't know, as a surrogate, I send all my pictures from doctor's visits and stuff, and to keep them updated so they feel like, okay, I was right there in the doctor visit with you, you know. And I guess just kind of like just that, like they're just not to worry, and that we're going to do everything possible in their best interest of the child and for their family making, just to be safe on our part, you know, not to worry.
Again, I hate to copycat, but we have wonderful women here who are making fantastic points. So I'm just gonna, again, ask questions. Just, there's no such thing as too close a question, crossing a line. You know, this is your child or children, and you know, bless you for trusting in us. You know, it's both ways. We get a lot of compliments and wonderful feedback from a lot of people, but I'll tell you, I have a lot of respect as well for the intended parent who's determined more than anything to have their family and to trust in someone that they know very little about, you know, to carry their child. So absolutely, it's fun to feel like they're incredibly involved. Like I said, the more involved, the better. You know, and look for a surrogate until you have the right feeling. You'll know, you know, it just, somebody strikes you the right way, and it's just, you know what, I just have a good feeling about so-and-so, kind of almost a trust your gut kind of thing. But this is your child and your family and your future as well. And ask all the questions. Nobody who's going to be a surrogate, I don't think, should be, you know, offended or feel like a line is crossed. You know, there's going to be no secrets. If you're right there in the delivery room, we're all, you know, there's nothing to keep from anybody. There's, you know, it's just the more questions, the better. And as much as you can be involved, just wait till the surrogate is right. But I'll tell you, the staff at EDSI is amazing, and they do 10 times the homework, I feel, like any other agency. I spoke with a few before joining them, and they are people who truly believe in what they're doing. And when I felt like I had found people who truly believed in what they were doing, I knew that was where I wanted to be as well.
Thank you. Yeah. One of the questions I have is one that actually comes up in almost every single meeting that we have with intended parents. And that's, how do we know that the surrogate will not decide to keep the baby? So,
Great question.
of course, my response to usually to the parents is, can you, I say it jokingly, but I say, can you imagine I have surrogates sitting asking me, how do I know that the parents are going to come and take the baby? So, but really, I mean, that joking aside, can you address the more, I think the deeper question is, how can you find it in yourself to take care of a child and then relinquish that child to the parents? And what are the emotional ramifications for you of doing that?
When I think of surrogacy, I think of it almost like having a foreign exchange student. I grew up having them. They would come and stay with us for months on end, almost a whole school year. And we would take care of them because their family trusted us to have them. And that's how I took it. Like, this baby, the family is trusting me to carry this baby for them. And I'm going to give it back to them when the time is right. And that's exactly how I had to think of it. I took it day by day, and that's the way you have to do it, just because you don't know how you're going to feel every day. However, at the end of the day, I always knew that that baby was going to parents or a parent who wanted them and who's been waiting to have them for so long. And that's just what I had to do, even all the way up until delivery. The doctor was like, do you want skin to skin contact? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I need to think about that for a second, because you have to differentiate that emotional connection that you have with the child. And it was the moment that I did an at-home pregnancy test all the way until the end. You don't know exactly how you're going to feel every step of the way, but at the end of the day, I knew from the beginning that I didn't want any more kids of my own, but I knew that I could do it for another family. So.
That was the same thing for me. To be honest, I got that a lot from people. How can you just carry a baby for 9 months, feel a baby kick, feel a baby move, have a connection with the baby or babies, you know, that you're carrying, and then hand them over to someone else? Well, you're not just handing them over to someone else, you're handing them over to their parents, you know, parent or parents. You know, I just went in with the mindset that I want to be a part of something amazing and help to give someone a wonderful gift, because I've been blessed myself. Didn't want any more kids myself. I have teenagers, so I'm good. But, you know, truly, you don't know how you're going to feel. You make a wonderful point. You know, people say, oh, how can you do it? How can you let the baby go? And you don't know how you're going to feel. They asked me about the skin to skin as well. And their mom and dad didn't happen to be there the minute they were born. So I did have them on me. And again, I was just thinking, you know, your mom and dad are going to be so excited to see you and to have you, and they've waited for you for so long. And I just I was a little surprised because I wasn't sure how I was going to feel. But I was pleasantly surprised that, I really just did keep the mindset that I'm part of something wonderful to give somebody else the family that they want. And my family's complete. And I am excited to be a part of giving someone else the family they want. And, it's not a cold kind of thing. I mean, yes, we care for these sweet little babies that we carry from, like you said, I still have my pregnancy test with the positive on it. So I'll keep it as a mom. I have their little hats from when they were born, and I'll always think of them and be excited for mom and dad and the adventures that they have coming. But it's you're part of something wonderful. And I think if you keep the right mindset, that you're helping other people, that you should be in pretty good shape.
That is
I will believe once you know your family is complete, it's a little easier to say bye.
Yes.
We love you, but you go with your parents now.
Absolutely. We did our sleepless nights. Now it's your turn. Yeah.
Well, yes, but we've had also, for example, I think Michelle is on right with us, and I'm sorry, not Michelle, Shara. Shara is with us right now, and she actually had, she decided to have a baby of her own, and then go back and have another experience.
Yeah, sometimes, so the experience might, like the ladies were saying, you don't really know at the very end. It's very emotional, it could be bittersweet as well, and then saying goodbye. But that's when you're like, okay, well then I'll have one of my own and I'll come back, and then everyone's happy. But don't steal the baby.
So what advice would you have for potential surrogates?
Be patient. It's a very long process. I know that before I was with EDSI, I was with another agency, and I came over to EDSI because just the support was totally different, and just the communication was there. But it's a very long process, and make sure that you have the support that is truly going to be there when you need it. I know I had to break up with a boyfriend right before my journey because he was like, I don't think I can do this. So I was like, okay, well, this is what I want to do. So that's the biggest thing, is just have the support, and make sure that it's like genuine support. And then also just be very, very patient. So.
Definitely patience. It's easy to feel like when the process starts, you think, did I answer a question weird, or did I do something wrong, or, oh, they don't like me, they're going to try to find a nice way to reject me and let me down easy. Your mind just kind of starts going because you're new to the process. It can be a very overwhelming process, but like you said, the staff is so wonderful when you feel and you're part of a family and a team, and you have a huge amount of people surrounding you from EDSI, and like you said as well, family and friends that believe in what you're doing as well. It's incredibly important, and there are going to be times where the emotions are coming and going, and you're going to be crying for no reason because you put your shoe on wrong or whatever, and you're going to need people just the same as otherwise to be understanding of such things. But definitely patience. You make a wonderful point. It's an incredibly long process, but it's an incredibly important process to be very careful with and take every necessary step. And when a healthy, wonderful, amazing blessing is born at the end of the journey, then everything turned out exactly the way it should be.
And so when you are at the birth, and what do you expect from the parents at that moment? Is there anything that you need from them at that moment?
Again, patience. I had my first couple. It was so cute. The mom was like, when's the baby coming? And I said, well, when the baby wants to. I thought it was a really cute question. I was like, well, let me tell you a little story. Whenever the baby decides it's coming.
Exactly.
But no, just like they're always very supportive. So so my first journey, which was 3 years ago, the parents were in the room for delivery, and I mean the dad waited outside until the actual delivery, but the mom was there, and she was always like, "Are you okay? Can I get you anything? Do you need anything?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just trying to get through this contraction right now." But they're always like, they're just trying to be kind, and they just want to, you know, it's not them, and they're just trying to make sure we're comfortable. So I would just say, like, just for them to have patience too, because we're, sometimes laboring is not the fastest process. But my second time, the parents weren't there, but I also did it all natural, so it was a lot faster than the first time. But as far as what we expect from the parents when we're going through it, it's just, like, I don't know. For me personally, I'm like, we don't need to talk. Let's just let me do what I'm doing right now. But that's just me personally. When I'm laboring, I'm like, I'm good. But I
have another question here from one of the intended parents. They said, I'll summarize it. It says, when there are, I'm sure that there have been hiccups. There always are. How did EDSI help you, solve those hiccups? Or it's always teamwork, of course. But
yeah.
So if you want to talk about whether there were any challenges that you had during your pregnancy or during the cycle, and how it is that you overcame them. How did EDSI help you overcome them?
I will say with mine, because my intended parents wanted 2 surrogates at the same time, because they wanted their babies born at the same time, but they didn't want twins. I think that's right. So with the other surrogate, who was supposed to be the same timing as I was supposed to be in, she ended up saying that the birth control was giving her, too many side effects. And right away, EDSI stepped in, and they made sure that they found a surrogate right away for the intended parents, because they also knew that I was there, mentally prepared, ready for the transfer. And then to find out that the other surrogate is not going through, then you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And I try and not bother at all, ever. But EDSI was there. They already had a plan in motion. So that was one hiccup, which was in the beginning. And then at the end, with my intended parents not being there for the delivery, it was really hard for me to swallow that one, because that's the whole point of me being a surrogate, is to see the parents' faces right when I have the baby. But EDSI, the agency, was there. They, traveled all the way to Arizona so that they could be with me and be with the baby, so that he wouldn't be alone. So you guys were amazing with that, and made sure that I was okay even after I had the baby. So that's another reason why I love you guys.
Thank you.
I didn't have any hiccups.
Just to clarify, so the parents couldn't be there because of COVID situation.
Because of COVID, yes. I'm sorry. Yeah, because of COVID, yes.
It was already bad enough that they couldn't be there for them. So yes.
Right.
Michelle, you wanted to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, we were fortunate. We didn't have hiccups until the very, very end. I don't know, not so much a hiccup as a scheduling situation. My intended parents were coming from China, so they were coming from out of country, and I was constantly just, again, supported by all of you. I was getting calls. I was being checked on all through. They weren't there for the birth. They were there the following day. And I was just I was communicated with a lot. It really brought a sense of comfort, because again, it's disappointing as a surrogate a little bit when the parent can't be there, so because you want that so badly for them. Because what a wonderful thing it is to be there for the birth. So when something like that is happening, and you're full on in labor, ready to have this baby, and you're just trying to prepare for that part, it's wonderful to have the support. The staff at EDSI it's really a family. We say we're part of the EDSI family, and it's not just words, it's how you guys make us feel from beginning to end, to after, to all the time. So to be supported like that is wonderful. And I know that you know, intended parents are supported the same way that we are. And it really is a big family and a team, and you feel like you're part of a really awesome team.
Really, you're all amazing. We're very lucky to have met you amazing women, heroes, saviors for a lot of intended parents, because what you do ultimately brings the ultimate gift into somebody's life. And it's, you know, someone said it takes a village. You guys are definitely the head of that village when it comes to creating a family. One of the other questions that we have here, let's see. Just talk a little bit about, so one of the intended parents wants to know if there is any sort of support group that we have within EDSI for you guys, and how it is, do you communicate with each other? Do the surrogates?
Facebook page, yes.
The surrogates,
Facebook.
Facebook page is awesome.
Yes.
Big fan.
the private EDSI surrogates Facebook page.
So
Right.
sometimes you guys sleep and we have questions.
Oh yeah, that's where we go. Definitely.
So talk about a
But
little bit.
somebody is up and somebody's willing to answer your question.
So how has that support been for you guys? How the surrogates can give each other advice and
I love it. I love it. I think that was definitely through my first journey, because it had been 13 years in between pregnancy. So I was like, oh, this is my first rodeo all over again. Just sometimes you have little questions. It could be really simple things. It can also be complex things, but you're going through it and you're like, well, maybe it's not just me by myself. There's like 140 of us. So like I was saying, sometimes, you know, like somebody is always on, somebody's always, you know, there to answer your question, or maybe they have a similar story, and it just makes you kind of feel a little better to be able to relate. And you're like, okay, it's not just me. Like, it's, you know, it's across the board, you know, maybe not everybody, but it's not, I'm not by myself. So it feels comforting to know that like we're all kind of going through similar situations at different points in our journey. Or if not, we've been through it. It's just life experience, and we can just help another female out or another person out just to give them, you know, comfort and answers.
Definitely. I love the Facebook page is amazing. You know, we have wonderful support with the doctors and things like that. And sometimes, you know, you just want to ask I kind of felt this way about this when this was said, and if somebody kind of looked at me and asked a question that, you know, about surrogacy that I felt, and they said, oh, I've had that question too, this is what I said, and you say, oh my goodness, that's so clever, I wish I'd have thought of that. Or, you know, just even an emotional type of thing. You know, we to be able to just, like you said, have a community of people who've been through it, seen it, or about to see it, things like that, you really feel the completely opposite of alone. You know that you have this awesome group. And I've met some really great friends that I talk to now, that we can talk about how things were, and you know, it's wonderful to have that connection with other surrogates as well.
I want to take you to the, if you can remember the first meeting that you guys had with the parents, and you know, walk me through the emotional aspect of it for you. What was it that was going through your mind at the time?
I had a lot of emotions, a lot. Probably the first one was kind of a nervous and afraid. I was happy that they wanted to meet with me. I kind of felt chosen. It was very cool. That was awesome. Excited to possibly have this wonderful journey. But I think that too, we go in nervous thinking, I don't want to say something and look like a dork, or I don't want to, you know, just seem silly, or, you know, I didn't think about it and then I said it and, oh, I didn't mean it to sound that way, or, but you know, with as much nerves as we have, I try to think of it too from the intended parent's perspective, and they're probably 10 times more nervous. They're asking us to carry their baby. They're asking us to pretty much give up your body for 9 months and just, you know, do things very strictly and stick to the program and change your lifestyle, you know, because all that is necessary and important, and for as nervous as we are, I think they're probably 10 times more nervous. So I think maybe when you think of it like that, I mean, in retrospect, of course, I was just nervous and hoping for the best at the time. But looking back, I feel like, you know, we're all human, and we all feel nervous, and we're all just new to the process, and we want it to be a wonderful success. So at the beginning, a lot of nerves, but to know that both parties are nervous kind of calms you, and hopefully ask a lot of questions too for the first meeting. I can't say that enough. You know, we didn't, for me, plan so much with the birth and whether or not the parents wanted the babies bottle fed right away, or there were just certain things. So I would just, for any intended parent, probably say, talk about everything beforehand. Meet up as much as you can, maybe phone, maybe video, whatever works for you. But definitely talk about everything, talk about every part of pregnancy beginning to end, and everything they expect of you. And, you know, ask them what you expect of them. The communication definitely is key, for sure.
Excellent. Anything else from Heather, Sarita? How was
I
your-
was just gonna say, I was so nervous that I told them that I wouldn't even eat bananas if they didn't want me to eat bananas. Because you ask, because you're like, is there anything you don't want me to do? And they're like, oh, just don't want you to dye your hair and eat non-GMO. And I was like, okay, whatever you want, it's your baby. I won't even eat bananas. And then I was like, and afterwards I was like, what? Like, I didn't said that. But yeah, absolutely, I was very nervous, but so excited, and I could tell they were excited. And I know, like, right afterwards, you wait for that, like, message from Parham or someone, just saying, like, whether or not they liked you. It's like a blind date, basically. But yeah, it was amazing, and I remember it like it was yesterday. So.
Like Heather said, you're just waiting for that message. Like, did they hate me? I hope not. Did I say something stupid? But no, I've always had like really great visits. Like my first family, we met up so many times. Like they met my entire family, extended family. It was actually pretty amazing throughout the whole process. My second couple were a little more distant, which, you know, it was okay as well. It was just something I kind of had to wrap my head around for a minute there, because I was kind of used to like, oh, they want to be around, they want to know everything, but some parents don't. And that's okay, because, you know, like we all said, it's their journey, but if they, you know, if they only want to be as involved as they want to be, so I want to give them that comfortability, I think that's the word, as well, to just how they want to handle the situation, how they feel everything should go.
And that brings up a really good point, because what I've really seen is, for example, one of the questions that we always ask intended parents and a surrogate is, how much involvement do you want? And it's quite surprising that a lot of times the intended parents or the surrogate that said, you know what, we don't want too much communication, and they end up becoming the closest of, you know, family. Like,
Yeah.
and then sometimes you have parents and a surrogate who, for some whatever reason, they're very close during the surrogacy, but after it's finished, they kind of, you know, they, even though they wanted to keep the communication, it just, life happens. You know, everybody gets busy with their own lives, and the communications become less and less. So it always takes a life of its own, no matter what, how much we want to control that aspect of it with asking people how much communication.
Yeah, you have to see the future.
It doesn't work. It really doesn't work. Any other advice that you guys might have? I have another question here. During your journeys, was the insurance through, how were the insurances handled for you guys? Were there any issues with the insurances? I know that's a general question that maybe we as an agency should answer, but it is, you know, insurance is one of the questions that we always have from intended parents. So do you guys have any?
For me in particular, I didn't have insurance through work currently. So I got insurance through you guys, and I never had any issues with bills being paid late or anything out of the ordinary. always got them, always, you know, sent receipts and paid them. I personally didn't have any issue. Mine was a-okay.
I didn't have any issues either. I was doing childcare in my home at the time when I started, and I had insurance provided by the parents, and absolutely no issues. It's a good question though. You know, it's a concern. There's a lot of visits and a lot of medical things that could be necessary during those, you know, 9 months in delivery and post and everything involved. So it's a great question. I had it provided, like I said, by my intended parents, and zero issues. Very, very happy with that.
So I had insurance through my work, and so they just have to make sure, the agency has to make sure that with the insurance that it'll cover, even since it's a surrogate delivery. But they do it all like three-way on the phone with you to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And then my intended parents just paid, well, through like the expense report, it was just paid monthly for my premium. And then just like Sarita said, every bill that I got, I would just send it to EDSI and they take care of it. And then I still am getting a couple bills from the hospital, but I send it right away to the girls and they're great about it.
So that one of the things that we always have to worry about is insurance. And what we do is during open season, we always make sure that all of our surrogates, if they have their own insurance, we check to make sure that they are surrogate-friendly insurances, that they have no exclusion for surrogacy. But if they do, then we try to get an insurance that is local to them and also that does not have surrogacy exclusion. And yeah, it's getting more challenging, but we try to deal with it. That's, you know, that's a part of what we do. Any other, let me see if there are any other questions. This is a very good question because, you know, we haven't talked much about this COVID era. So do you guys, or would you guys have any concerns about doing another journey during this pandemic? What are your thoughts on that?
I
Well,
do
I'm
not.
going to,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead, Sarita.
are you sure? Okay. I was just going to say, I'm, you know, just had a transfer on the 21st. I have blood work on the 31st, hoping for pregnancy. I'm not scared or nervous of delivering or being in the era of COVID. I do work from home, basically stay at home. So I feel like I'm confident enough to do this journey.
I would say delivering during COVID, it was very interesting, just because you don't know how everything is going to be. And you're only allowed to have like one support in the room with you during this time, and you have to wear your mask the entire time. And I've seen so many people be like, oh my gosh, you have to wear a mask during delivery. I couldn't imagine. And to be honest, I didn't even think about it. It was just on there and just, you know, you just do what you have to do. But that's about it. I wouldn't have an issue. I know that even at my infertility clinic where I work at, we're doing transfers as long as it's, you know, allowed to be going on. I don't have a problem with it. So yes.
I agree. It wouldn't slow me down. I'm excited to have another journey. There's a lot to consider, certainly, but I've always been probably overly cautious with hand washing and sanitizer and space anyway. So it's not too dramatically different. The mask is, you know, in Arizona, you know as well, you know, it's a little tougher with the heat, but you know what, like you said, you're focused on what you're doing, especially during delivery. You're just focused on a happy, healthy baby and everything going well, and the mask is the least of your worries, and you're just focused on the joy that the parents are going to have. And you know, like I think, I know for a fact that EDSI and that the doctors and things that they work with are taking all the precautions necessary and are incredibly responsible. And if anyone at EDSI felt, even if it wasn't mandated, that there was a reason to hold back or to wait a little while, that they would advise everyone to do so, type of situation. So I trust in them, and I would just definitely adhere to all the safety precautions and be as careful as possible. I'm after I'm, hopefully matched soon, I'm going to be doing my med screening, and we've already planned on me driving to California rather than fly to try to reduce risk there. So there are things that we can do. You just have to try to be responsible and plan it out as best you can, and just work with the EDSI team. And again, just focused on the wonderful blessing at the end of the 9 months. And that's the most important part of it for sure.
That's amazing. So now I want to talk a little bit about the decision for you as a surrogate on whether you will, let's say, carry twins or carry a singleton. So I know,
Yes,
for example,
yes
Michelle,
to all of the above.
Yes,
yes. So for example, Michelle, you carried twins.
Mhm.
You consider carrying twins again, or how was that experience for you? And
It was wonderful. You hear things about, how multiple pregnancies can certainly bring complications. There's higher risk for certain things and things like that. I was incredibly blessed. I have to tell you, I was just healthy. These babies were healthy. Everything was wonderful. They were born screaming, healthy, wonderful lungs, and everything was awesome. I didn't know how it was going to go. We transferred the first time a single embryo, and it didn't stick. And then for round 2, we actually, the parents took some time to decide if they were ready for 2 little blessings at once, because that wasn't originally in their plan. And I was good to go. I was, okay, let's do it. Twins right now. They're like, whoa, hang on, let me just think about this. I was incredibly blessed throughout my twin pregnancy. You don't know, again, you don't know how it's going to go or how you're going to feel, but I was just excited, and it went very, very well. So I was incredibly blessed.
Heather, Sarita, what was your decision?
Yes, I would carry twins. I've never carried twins before, but I'm up for the challenge.
I second that. I've thought about it and I'm like, okay, not triplets, but twins, okay. We can do this.
So the other question I have is, one of the things that we always tell our surrogates is that any decision that has to be made about the health of the baby or the babies, it's the intended parents' decision. And any decision that has to be made, obviously, about your health, it's your decision. How do you reconcile that in yourselves when you know that you're carrying a child for someone else, but that ultimately, God forbid, if there is any health issues or anything, any decision that has to be made, that it has to be made by the intended parents and not by you as a surrogate? So can you speak on that, please?
I tried my best, honestly, it sounds strange, but to keep it separate. The babies were one situation and I was another, so I feel like any decision regarding the baby or babies was their parents' decision. Just as when I carried my son, it was my decision, just because they're not carrying their child does not make it any less their child. That is their child and their decision. Whether or not they make decisions about, even if say the twins had split into 3 and ended up being 3, and the intended parents were saying, whoa, we don't think we can do 3, and needed to reduce, or whatever decision needed to be made, that's their decision to make. These are their children, not my children, and they need to make decisions that's best for them and go by their values and beliefs. And that's another thing which is so great about being matched and the work you guys do. It really seems like the values and the beliefs line up so well with intended parents and surrogates by the time we get to do the video meeting. But I tried my best to separate the two. The babies were the parents' decision and they spoke for them in the story. And as far as me, I spoke for me, but I would still rather do as much as I could to protect the babies as well, but that's the baby's health, and any decisions were the parents' decision for sure.
I'll just piggyback on that, Michelle. I know that when I was pregnant, like with my own children, I didn't want any testing done, just because it was what it was basically at the end of the day. However, with these parents, they wanted every test in the book, and I could not say no to that, and because it wasn't my baby at the end of the day. So just like you said, Michelle, I just had to separate the two, even if it wasn't something I thought that I would do ever, but they wanted to do, then I just had to grant their wishes. So.
And Sarita,
I agree with both ladies brought up basically my same point. It's not our baby. We're carrying it. We're the oven. It's not our decision. I personally wouldn't want that decision. So I'm kind of like, you get to have that decision. All on you. But yeah, they like the women were saying, it's not our child biologically or in any way, shape, or form. We are not the parent, and that is like one of the decisions, and that's the whole part of being parenting, is you get to start making decisions, and sometimes they're critical and sometimes they're not, but it's not a decision I think the surrogate should have to take. That's one that the parents, I feel, want to take, and that's their leap into their family.
Okay, okay, sorry, I'm trying to read and do this at the same time. What are your thoughts on providing breast milk after delivery? Can you talk about that, and what has your experience been? Or
I wanted to give everything I could to my Suro baby. It was no like attachment to it or anything that I wanted. It was just the best for the baby. But my intended parents did not want that, so I actually just pumped and then I donated all my breast milk. So I wish I could have done it, but they didn't want that. But it wasn't like a make or break thing, choosing them. So it was their choice at the end of the day, and whatever their decision was, I just had to respect it. So.
I agree. I wanted to breastfeed just because I thought that it was, good nutrition wise. But again, just like you said, not my child, not my choice. So once I deliver that healthy baby, even before then, mom and dad are making decisions, or dad or mom. It would have been cool to do that. I was up for it for as long as they would have liked. But again, I did have IPs that were out of the country as well, so probably logistically it wouldn't have worked out. But again, their little one, their choice, so definitely up to them.
so one of the questions that we do ask in the profile section from the surrogates is, are you willing, if the parents want, are you willing to provide breast milk or not? And depending on the comfort of the surrogate, then the intended parents know whether you'd be okay with it or not. So that's what we have. The last question that I have is, why did you decide? So there is a different, some surrogates decide to do independent journeys, and some decide to go with agencies. And why was it that you decided to go with an agency? And what was the process for you to decide what agency was right for you? And ultimately, the blessing was for us that you decided to work with EDSI.
I honestly, being brand new to surrogacy, I really wanted to find people who had been doing this a long time and had a lot of experience, and I wanted to hear reviews. I spoke to a few different agencies when I was considering starting surrogacy, and the feedback I got from some agencies was very pushy. Let's get you signed yesterday, we'll give you more money. Let's hurry up and sign you, we have 10 people waiting. And I got a very bad vibe about that. For me, it has zero to do with money. I would do it for free in a second. So when you're rushed into the process like that, again, you just get a bad feeling. So I wanted to go with an agency because I wanted people who were experts and had a lot of experience. And I did want to hear too from actual surrogates with that agency. I didn't just trust a certain website because, you never know what people are going to make themselves sound good, of course. But when I got to EDSI and I was talking with people there, I really, like I said earlier, I truly, from yourself, Param, as well, and everybody on your staff, got the feeling in my heart that every single one of these people believe truly in what they're doing. And I believe in what I want to do, and I want to be a part of a team that believes in what they're doing, and at the end of the day is focused on blessing a mom, a dad, or whoever with a wonderful gift of blessing of a child. And I just got a wonderful feeling from the staff at EDSI, and that I just hadn't got other places, and I just knew it was the place for me, for sure.
We were lucky to have you. How about Heather or Sarita?
I was just gonna say that. Oh, sorry, Sarita.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that working where I work now, I have a few patients who have already asked me to be their surrogate after I was done with this one. But of course, I told them I would think about it. But I don't know if I could do independent. I would much prefer to have the support from it all, because it is a lot. And so that is why I would choose to go with an agency, especially EDSI. And just like Michelle said, it's not about the money. If you're in it for the money, then you're doing it for the wrong thing. And at the end of the day, something isn't going to click right if that's why you're doing it. So EDSI has been the best, and I wouldn't do it any other way.
Well, thank you. And Sarita, did you want to?
I was going to say, I still remember my very first call with Kelly. It's like an hour and 15 minutes long. Just love her to death. And there was not like that sense of urgency, like how Michelle was saying, like some agencies you can call them and it's like, oh, do it now, do it now, do it now. You know, we have people waiting. But Kelly really got the time, like took the time to like get to know you as a person, your life, your situation, and kind of just like, you know, fit herself in there. And she had her stories, because especially my first time doing it, because this is when I first signed up. You know, you still have questions. Like I said, it had been 13 years since I had been pregnant prior to that with my daughter. And with her, I had no complications. But then 13 years later, you're like, oh man, now I have all these questions. Like I totally forgot how it was, you know, back in the day. But Kelly always, like, she answered them. And if not, she would like find the answer and she would thoroughly explain it. So that you felt comfortable like moving forward in any situation, you know, because when it came to the reduction, then you kind of get like a little scared sometimes thinking about the negative possibilities that are possible. But we all just pray that it doesn't happen. But she would always put your mind at ease to make you just feel better about the situation. Like, okay, that's like statistic, like 1 in a million. It's not gonna happen. Things like that. But yeah, I just love the staff, Parham, all you guys at EDSI. And so wouldn't choose anyone else.
Well, thank you. It's 5:33 now. I want to thank you guys. This was truly special for me to hear from you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all in person soon. And here's to many more blessings and miracles that we will all create together.
Absolutely.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.